guys, so today we're going to be addressing why some of you might be doing Kegels or several Kegel exercises and you might be experiencing pain down your leg. What's up with that? Aren't Kegels supposed to be helpful in preventing incontinence and keeping your sexual function alive? And while the answer is yes, perhaps, there is a whole nother side of it that we actually need to talk about. By the way, I'm Hina. I'm an orthopedic and pelvic floor therapist here at Rebalance Physical Therapy in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I've been treating chronic orthopedic pain and pelvic floor dysfunction, specifically pain, for a very long time. So first, let's actually talk about what you are doing with a Kegels, because a lot of people, surprisingly, don't actually know what they're exercising. So with a Kegels, basically, Kegel was named after a physician who discovered that when you contract these muscles, it actually ends up helping incontinence. And so what it actually is you're performing a contraction of a group of 14 muscles known as your pelvic floor. Now, your pelvic floor is a group of muscles that sit inside of your pelvis. This is the pelvis. If you look at it, it's got basically it's like this circular type structure. You have your spine in the back, you've got your two pelvic bones, and then in the front is your pubic bone. So if we look at the inside of this, you can see that all of this red stuff is the Kegel muscles, otherwise known as your pelvic floor. And if we look at the underside, again, pubic bone, tailbone, two sides of the sit bones, you can see that these pelvic muscles basically form like this trampoline or hammock all throughout these structures. And this is a group of 14 muscles. So when you are doing a Kegels, you're actually contracting all of these 14 muscles ideally. But when you are starting to develop pain that's going down your leg, why is that happening? Now, we first have to talk about, because these are 14 muscles, you can see that some of these muscles actually have attachments coming towards the side. And two of these muscles, which you can't actually see in this model, actually have attachments to the hip. So two of these muscles actually come out and attach to the hip. And I'm going to show you a picture of that. So if we look at the pelvis from behind, you can see that you have this green muscle over here, as well as this other muscle right here. This one is known as your obturator internus muscle. This one is known as your piriformis muscle. A lot of you, especially if you're runners or you've had something called piriformis syndrome, you may have heard of this muscle. And so these two muscles, when you perform a contraction, actually also contract when you do a Kegel contraction. Now, that's all fine and great, but when you have problems within those two muscles, perhaps maybe even a few other pelvic muscles, this can actually contract around, I would say, a major nerve known as your sciatic nerve. So if we look at this photo right here, here is your piriformis, and you've got your obturator internus that you can barely see here, but it goes here. But you can see that this little yellow kind of thing right here, this is actually your sciatic nerve. So the possibility is that if you're creating and doing a lot of Kegel contractions, it might actually be squeezing and sandwiching that sciatic nerve. And that potentially is one of the reasons why you might be having pain down your leg. But we'll talk about some other reasons. Now, why is it some people can do Kegels and they have no problems at all, but perhaps you guys are having pain that is going from your buttocks all the way down your leg? So why is it that your sciatic nerve is more susceptible than somebody else who can do these until the cows come home and they have no problems? So the issue lies in many people don't realize that these group of 14 muscles actually can behave differently, meaning that for some people, all of these 14 muscles can be weak, and strengthening all of them. And when I say weak meaning that they're, over elongated, should I say, or stretched out, and they don't have the ability to kind of create this nice contraction, okay? So all of these 14 muscles are weak and stretched out, and so performing a contraction is fine and dandy, and many of them, they can do hundreds of them and be totally fine. But for those of you who have tightness in any of these muscles within the pelvic floor. And what I mean by tightness is like, think about when you have a knot in your neck and it feels like there's a little spasm there and you kind of press on it and it feels good. Well, the same idea can actually happen within the pelvic floor muscles. You can actually have little spasmings or tightness within those 14 muscles, and perhaps some of them are tight, some of them are totally fine, and some of them are completely weak. And so you may think that, hey, I have incontinence, I have a prolapse, or I have something going on where I've been told to do pelvic floor contractions, aka Kegels, to kind of help with that. But imagine if some of those 14 muscles are already tight, and specifically, let's say if your piriformis is tight, or this other part of the muscle which attaches to the hip, which is called your obturator internus, is tight, and we'll talk about why those get tight. If those are already tight, and now you're performing Kegels that contract these muscles, then you can see that those muscles may actually end up becoming tighter and more spasmed and press on that sciatic nerve. So now we got to ask the question, why is it that those muscles are tight to begin with? Well, the piriformis and the obturator internus muscles are actually rotators of the hip. So they create rotation. So when you turn, when you play golf and you have to kind of like rotate on that hip, or perhaps you are going to a workout class or you're at the gym and you're doing a lot of exercises that require, rotation along that hip. Either it's a specific exercise, maybe you're doing like Pilates type stuff like clamshells where you're opening up the legs a lot and you're doing a lot of like glute exercises. Those things can sometimes interfere and create a lot of tightness around that piriformis and obturator internus muscle. But we also have to talk about, perhaps there's alignment issues that you have going on. And, I've been in practice. So at our clinic, it is very rare that we see somebody with perfect posture. And so if you have postural changes, due to, whatever, could be sports injuries when you were younger. Let's say you've been in some car accidents, perhaps you've had surgeries, maybe you sit all day at a desk job. This is going to change the way your body is aligned. And if your alignment is off, this is going to affect a lot of different muscles that basically go throughout the body, including the pelvic floor muscles. So if we look at a lot of these muscles and you've got like 600 and something muscles within the body, but when you have postural changes, this will affect a ton of different muscles. But if we specifically talk about these muscles down in through the pelvic floor and the pelvic area, you can see here's the spine again. There are these two kind of round bones of the pelvis, and there's the pubic bone, and the pelvic floor sits inside of here. You can see all these other muscles, including a lot of the muscles around the hip that also attach to the pelvis. So if you have any postural changes, they are going to affect and pull and tug on all of these muscles in a different way, which is then going to affect the piriformis and the obturator internus, as well as the pelvic floor muscles, which sit inside here. So I'm hoping that this is starting to make a little bit more sense as far as like, why is it you're doing Kegels and perhaps you're starting to have pain down the leg. Now, some of these muscles, especially again, if we think about those pelvic floor muscles, which sit right here, and again, these are all of these hip muscles. Okay, there's the piriformis again. If these muscles, again, because of postural changes, also develop spasms, okay? If you have spasms, let's say within the glute muscles or these other muscles, and when you're doing a Kegels, you are compensating with muscles other than just your pelvic floor. And it's common that some people can actually compensate a lot with their gluteal muscles, thinking they're doing a Kegels. Then you can develop things known as trigger points and spasms within this gluteal muscle, which can also give you pain down into the leg, because trigger points, aka knots and spasms within the glute muscles, can actually create referred pain down into the leg. And so that could also be a possibility as far as why you're doing Kegels. If you're not doing them correctly and you're using a lot of your glute muscles, that could be triggering off pain as well. So now if you are experiencing this and you're like, wow, I'd really love to get back to doing my Kegel exercises because they've been really helpful with my incontinence, but you're experiencing this leg pain, then what's the solution? So a couple of years ago, actually during COVID, we ended up creating an online program for a lot of our patients who couldn't come into the clinic to see us. And over the years, it has become a tremendous success in helping a lot of people right out of their homes, showing them the things that they need to do as far as getting rid of these spasms and irritation that they're having in a lot of these muscles and starting to calm these muscles down. Because if the idea is that these muscles around the piriformis, pelvic floor, and possibly around some of these glute muscles, and again, we talked about how there is also this whole host of muscles that might be pulling and tugging on and creating these alignment issues or postural issues or vice versa, then a lot of these muscles can actually play a role in why you might be having pain that goes down the leg as well. So we created this program, super comprehensive program, 40 videos that if you follow them, and there's clear guided instructions, if you follow these to a T, for many people, this is like game changing for their ability to really understand how everything is intimately connected, understand their body, get rid of that pain that's going down their leg every time they're doing a Kegel. And actually, it starts to help other things that you may not realize is related, like low back pain, abdominal pain, bladder issues, colorectal issues, as well as like other hip and groin pain that you might be having. And so if this is all kind of making sense to you and it's resonating with you, then please subscribe to our videos. Definitely share this with anyone who you also know. If it's not you that's watching this video, and if it's not for you, but it's for somebody else, then definitely share this video with them. It's gonna make a lot of sense. You're not the only person that's experiencing this. And if you are looking for that online program, it's down below in the description box. We also do online video consults. So if you are someone who actually wants to talk to somebody and really get their advice on what's going specifically on with you and what are the next best steps to do, then look for that link below as well, where you can have a video consultation from wherever you are in the world. So I hope this video was helpful for many of you. Please like and comment below. And we try to put out new videos every single week to help you guys. And your questions help us create these videos. So have an awesome day.